What can I explain about the challenge that faced Sahab municipality? There's a lot of challenge. The main challenge, I think, or the last one, is the Syrian refugees. That we have 45,000 Syrian refugees here in our city. That means there's a challenge for all the sectors we have here in health and education, and the flat rents. And I think there's a huge number here in Sahab, which means it's 50% of the local people here in Sahab that are Syrian refugees. There's also a lot of laborers from another countries, from Egypt, from Yemen, from Iraq. I think the number increased than 25,000, and there's also laborers from the QIZ city here, because we have the biggest industrial city in the Jordan. The first one, Malik King Abdullah city, industrial city, and the other one is QIZ city. That means we have 25 laborers from east of Asia, Bangladesh, Indian, Philippines. This is the total number we have in Sahab, I think, is 169,000. They live in 12 kilometers here. Sahab is closed because a lot of buildings here, there's no space to make something for our people, to make service, to make gardens, to make something like that. So it's a big, we faced a big challenge here in Sahab. Maybe now 45, I think after 6 months, maybe it's the total number, I think, is 75,000 Syrian people here, our refugees here. That means I told my friends in here or outside Jordan, if Jordan is good, the situation here about the Syrian and how the relation between the Syrian and the Jordanian people here, it's good. I think European countries is good, because if there's problems between the Syrian people and Jordanian people here, I think the Syrian people already they're thinking to go to European country, which is a big problem for us. I visit, I think, Amsterdam is a big problem there. The Syrian refugees, they have, I think, 5,000 Syrian refugees. It's make a big problem for Netherlands, you know. When I speak there, we have 45,000 here in Jordan, in our city.
It puts things in
already
perspective.
they ask how you deal with this. But we trust, actually we trust by our King Abdullah that our border always open for our neighbors, that they faced big problems there. So always our city is open, our border for all the people. So if the local people here from other cities or outside, as Syria, as Iraq, as another countries.
So I would like to thank you very much for welcoming me in Sahab today. You heard that I am very attached to Jordan, having worked and lived here with Omar, with some other friends around the table in the past, and so it's very important and enriching for me to come back, because what I deal with now in Brussels, I work in headquarters, is I deal with a regional cooperation, which means that I am in charge of all the cooperation programs that bring together all the countries of the region together as much as possible. And many fields bring us together, be it the mobility of people, of ideas, of businesses, of technology transfers. And that's very important in the relationship both between Europe and the partner countries, but we also try to foster the relationship, and you were saying the good models between the countries of the regions themselves. So I come back with a different perspective now, but I'm happy and I'm very proud to come back to Jordan and see that in the face of big difficulties and challenges, this country continues to lead on the good ideas and with this marvelous generosity that we can admire every day, in particular in the way you welcome your neighbors, as you say. So it's so first of all, thank you very much for having me. And the reason why it's also interesting for me to come and see your work today is because energy, is one of these areas in which I believe we are working, the European Union, Jordan, and all the neighboring countries, on a common agenda. It's a question of survival, it's a question of future growth, it's a question of preserving for the next generations that I believe we share. And I work a lot with the Union for the Mediterranean, which maybe you hear about sometimes. You should, because Jordan has a very important part to play. With the European Union, we are the co-presidents of the Union for the Mediterranean, so we have to lead on this agenda. And what's very important is that on this agenda, be it on electricity, be it now gas, be it on renewable energies or energy efficiency, where it works is where we show that the different levels work together. The institutional government level with the local authority level, that interaction is so important. And also because we need to help with a change of practice, the day-to-day lives of citizens, it's important that, particularly at the local level, civil society is on board as well, and all the actors that interact with the citizens.